Respiration Activity 5.4 of ncert textbook. Take some freshly prepared lime water in a test tube. Blow air through this lime water. Note how long it takes for the lime water to turn milky. So carbon dioxide can turn lime water milky. That is a fact. Now use a syringe or pitchkari to pass air through some fresh lime water taken in another test tube. This time they are telling about this test tube because here they are using the pitchkari. Here also we have to note how long it takes for this lime water to turn milky. Now what does this tell us about the amount of carbon dioxide in the air that we breathe out? So what is happening is the amount of air what we breathe out, in that the carbon dioxide concentration is high. The amount of carbon dioxide will be higher than the carbon dioxide that is present in the atmospheric air. So the test tube B, what lime water is there, that will turn milky faster than the other test tube. So B is the answer which can turn milky fast. Now this is the next activity, activity 5.5. Take some fruit juice or sugar solution and add some yeast to this. Take this mixture in a test tube fitted with a one-hole cork. Fit the cork with a bent glass tube. Dip the free end of the glass tube into a test tube containing freshly prepared lime water. So we will see how it looks like. So this is one test tube. We label it as test tube A, and we have to take inside a sugar solution. And it should be fitted with a one-hole cork. This is a one-hole cork. Now we have to take a glass tube, a bent glass tube, through the hole of the cork and connect it with another test tube. Now inside this sugar solution we should add yeast in test tube A. Now what change is observed in the lime water and how long does it take for this change to occur? What does this tell us about the products of fermentation? So fermentation is a kind of anaerobic respiration. So yeast, utilizing the sugar, it will release one gas, and that gas is carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide goes in through this bent test tube and enters into lime water. Then what will happen to the lime water? The lime water will turn milky. Lime water turns milky is the answer. That is a change that is happening in this test tube, that is test tube B. So what is the concept behind it? Yeast after fermentation or during the fermentation releases carbon dioxide gas, That carbon dioxide gas makes the lime water that is there inside test tube be milky. So that's what this activity is about. This figure is very important. It is a figure showing breakdown of glucose by various pathways. First, the glucose, that is 6 carbon molecule in cytoplasm, gets converted into pyruvate plus energy, and pyruvate is 3 carbon. Then pyruvate, if it enters into mitochondria, like plant cell or animal cell, and all the mitochondria is there. In case if it gets mitochondria to enter into, then in the presence of oxygen, the pyruvate will get converted to carbon dioxide, water and energy. These are the products. Now in case pyruvate is in the absence of oxygen in yeast, then the products are ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. And ethanol is a 2 carbon molecule. Similarly, in our muscle cells also, in the lack of oxygen, means oxygen is absent, then the pyruvate gets converted to lactic acid and energy. Lactic acid is 3 carbon molecule. One question that came in a CBSE board exam question paper. The breakdown of glucose has taken the following pathway. That is, glucose is getting converted to pyruvate and energy, and pyruvate is getting converted to lactic acid and energy. Now, the sites A and B respectively are which of the following options? So, glucose is getting converted to pyruvate. That's the first. What is A? Glucose is getting converted to pyruvate. Can get converted to pyruvate in cytoplasm. So A is cytoplasm. Then the pyruvate gets converted to lactic acid. Lactic acid formation is only in muscle cells. And is it oxygen rich muscle cells or oxygen deficient muscle cells? It will be oxygen deficient muscle cells. Because it is an anaerobic respiration. That's why. So here the answer is D. In this paragraph, the energy released during cellular respiration is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is used to fuel all other activities in the cell. In these processes, ATP is broken down, giving rise to a fixed amount of energy which can drive the endothermic reactions taking place in the cell. Now we'll see from this what kind of question can come. The question can come like this. The energy released during cellular respiration is used to synthesize dash, which is used to fuel all the cellular activities. To synthesize what? Options are lactic acid, glucose, ATP, proteins. So the answer is the energy released during cellular respiration is used to synthesize the energy currency of cell, that is ATP. During cellular oxidation of glucose, ATP is produced along with the formation of other products in this reaction. Which of the following events is associated with production of maximum ATP molecules per molecule of glucose during this process? Synthesis of what? So these are the options. Option A, ethanol in yeast. Option B, lactic acid in muscle cells. Option C, carbon dioxide in yeast cells during fermentation. Option D, carbon dioxide in human cells during aerobic respiration. So what will be the answer? The answer will be D. Carbon dioxide in human cells during aerobic respiration, because amount of ATP produced will be more in this case. A sportsman, after a long break of his routine exercise, suffered muscular cramps during a heavy exercise session. This happened due to which of the following options? Option A, lack of carbon dioxide and formation of pyruvate. Option B, presence of oxygen and formation of ethanol. Option C, lack of oxygen and formation of lactic acid. Last option, option D, lack of oxygen and formation of carbon dioxide. So what will be the answer? The answer will be option C, lack of oxygen and the formation of lactic acid causes cramps in the muscles. So option C is the answer. Carefully study the diagram of the human respiratory system with labels A, B, C and D. Select the option which gives correct identification and main function and characteristic. So there is option 1, 2, 3. First we will label this diagram. The part 1, this part is trachea. The part 2 shows ribs. And part 3 shows alveoli. Now we have to select the options, which is the correct option from A, B, C and D. First option, what they have written is trachea. It is supported by bony rings for conducting inspired air. The fact that bony rings are there, that is wrong, because they have only cartilaginous rings, not bony. And option B, talking about ribs, when we breathe out, ribs are lifted. No, that is also wrong, because when we breathe out, the ribs are not lifted, it gets contracted. So that's also wrong. Next is option C, it's about alveoli. Alveoli are thin-walled sac-like structures for exchange of gases. That is correct. See, here there are alveoli. Then, so alveoli is correct. We'll see the option D also, what they have written, diaphragm. This muscle what is there below the lungs, it's called diaphragm. Diaphragm is pulled up when we breathe in. That is wrong. Actually, it should not be breathed in, it should be breathed out. So, all the answers are wrong except option C, alveoli. So, this is the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer. The opening and closing of stomatal pore depends upon which of the following options? Option A, atmospheric temperature. Option B, oxygen concentration around stomata. And option C, carbon dioxide concentration around stomata. And option D, water content in the guard cells. The correct answer will be the water content present in the guard cells. Why? Because these are guard cells of the stomata. So when the water enters the guard cells will swell. So when the guard cells swell, it pulls the stomatal pores apart. So the stomata here is open now. And that opening and closing of stomata is due to water content. and not due to carbon dioxide or oxygen. So the answer is D. Study the table below and select the row that has the incorrect information. So there are two columns here. One is aerobic and the other is anaerobic. So location, option A, aerobic respiration takes place in cytoplasm, anaerobic takes place in mitochondria. Option B, end products. Carbon dioxide and water, end product of aerobic respiration, and ethanol and carbon dioxide products of anaerobic. And amount of ATP is high if it is aerobic, low if it is anaerobic. And oxygen is needed for aerobic respiration and it's not needed for anaerobic respiration. Now the question is, which is incorrect here? Incorrect one is the location. That is option A. Why? Because aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria. Anaerobic respiration can take place in cytoplasm also. So that's why. Explain how the direction of diffusion depends on the requirements of the plant and whether it's daytime or nighttime. So you will get the answer from the paragraph in NCERT textbook. At night time, when there is no photosynthesis occurring, carbon dioxide elimination is a major exchange activity going on. And during the daytime, carbon dioxide generated during respiration is used up for photosynthesis. And that's why oxygen release is a major event at daytime. And there is no carbon dioxide release. Now this is a give reason type of 1-mark question. The rate of breathing in aquatic organism is much faster than that seen in terrestrial organisms. Give reason. The reason is that dissolved oxygen in water is less. Fishes live in water, no? So dissolved oxygen is less compared to the atmospheric air. How do the fishes get the oxygen? For fishes to get the oxygen, they have to actually take the water through the mouth. So they have to open their mouth, then only water will get inside and they will go past the gills. And that is when, so these are the gills. These are the gills. So that is when oxygen is taken up by the gills. That is why the rate of breathing is high in aquatic organisms than the terrestrial organisms. So this will be the next question, to label the parts of the human respiratory system. What is A, B, C, D, E and F? So observe the diagrams and then you have to mark the answers. Now A is now what is this B? B is the trachea that has got rings of cartilage. Then C refers to lungs. D refers to the rib bones. So we can write D as ribs. E, they're pointing towards alveoli. Balloon-like sacs like this, that is alveoli. Then last is F. F is pointing towards bronchi. It's a bronchi that further divides to form bronchioles. That if this is trachea, trachea divides into two bronchi. This is bronchi. From this paragraph, that the human beings are having throat, and the throat has got mucus inside and also rings of cartilage. Now the question will be like this: why are rings of cartilage present in the throat? So there are rings of cartilage here in the throat. Why are they present? So this is the answer: to ensure that the air passage does not collapse. That will be the answer. It's a one mark question. From this paragraph, an assertion reason question can come that when we breathe in, we lower our ribs and flatten our diaphragm. Reason: when we breathe the air inside, it is sucked into lungs. So what will be the answer? The answer is present inside textbook itself. As we breathe in, we lift our ribs and flatten our diaphragm, and the chest cavity becomes larger as a result. Now because of this, air is sucked into the lungs and fills the expanded alveoli. So here, assertion: when we breathe in, is written lower our ribs. Lower our ribs is false. Because it has to be lifted, not lower. So that is why assertion is false. And we'll check the reason: when we breathe in air, air is sucked into lungs. That is correct. So here assertion is false, whereas reason is true. That option you have to mark as correct answer. Now from this paragraph we can get like these questions. First is: name the respiratory pigment that has high affinity for oxygen. So the respiratory pigment will be hemoglobin. Name the blood cells that have the respiratory pigment. The blood cells that have the respiratory pigment in our body are RBCs, that is red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. So that will be the answer. How are oxygen and carbon dioxide transported in our blood? Now, oxygen is transported with hemoglobin. And as is given in the textbook, carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen is, and hence carbon dioxide is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. So carbon dioxide is transported in the dissolved form in our blood. Amoeba. Amoeba do not have respiratory organs like that of large animals, like lungs and all. They don't have. Then how do exchange of gases take place in them? For them, oxygen getting inside, carbon dioxide going outside, that takes place through the simple method of diffusion. This is the next type of question that can be asked from the same paragraph. When air is taken in and let out during breathing, the lungs always contain a residual volume of air. Why? Which means that lungs will not remove the whole air out when we are breathing out. Some volume of air will be present inside the lungs. Why is it so? The answer is present in the text paragraph itself. The lungs always contain a residual volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. So this will be a 1 mark question.